The wind howled across the Yorkshire moors, sweeping over the dark, lonely house that stood like a sentinel against time, Wuthering Heights. Inside, the air was heavy with the smell of peat fire and old secrets. Every wall whispered the names of two souls who had once burned brighter than the storm itself, Catherine Earnshaw and Heathcliff. It began on a night of thunder, when old Mr. Earnshaw returned from Liverpool with a boy, wild, dark, and silent. "This," he said, "is Heathcliff. I found him starving in the streets." The family stared. Hindley, the son, hated the strange boy instantly, but young Catherine's eyes shone with curiosity. "He's not a beggar," she said softly. "He's one of us." From that night, the two were inseparable. They roamed the hills barefoot, laughed in the rain, and shared dreams the wind itself seemed to carry. They were wild creatures of the moor, untamed, unbroken, and bound by something deeper than friendship. One evening, beneath a red sky, Catherine said, "Heathcliff, if the world hated you, and I loved you, would you still hate the world?" "I would hate everyone who kept us apart," he said fiercely. "You and I are the same soul, Catherine." But fate had already begun its slow, cruel work. When Mr. Earnshaw died, Hindley took control of Wuthering Heights. He treated Heathcliff like a servant, forcing him to sleep in the stables and work the fields. Catherine tried to protect him, but the gap between them grew. Still, on the moors, away from all eyes, they met and dreamed as before. Then one winter night, Catherine was invited to Thrushcross Grange, the elegant home of the Linton family. She stayed there weeks, recovering from an injury, and when she returned, she was changed, polished, graceful, and aware of society's gaze. Heathcliff, covered in dirt and shame, stood at the doorway as she laughed with the Lintons. Later that night, Heathcliff overheard her speaking to Nellie, the housekeeper. "It would degrade me to marry Heathcliff," Catherine said, her voice trembling. "He's so low, so uneducated, yet every atom of my heart is his. I am Heathcliff. But marrying him would ruin us both." Heathcliff fled into the storm. The rain lashed his face, but the pain within was fiercer. He disappeared into the night, leaving Catherine calling after him until her voice broke against the wind. Days turned to months. Believing him gone forever, Catherine accepted the proposal of Edgar Linton, a kind and wealthy man. Thrushcross Grange became her new home, bright, warm, but empty. Often she stood by the window, her thoughts wandering to the dark hills beyond. 3 years later, Heathcliff returned. He was transformed, tall, proud, and dressed like a gentleman. No one knew where he had been or how he had gained his fortune. Catherine, upon seeing him, cried out, "Heathcliff! You've come back." Edgar, sensing danger, frowned. Heathcliff's eyes met his, calm, burning. "I have come home," he said simply. But home had changed. Catherine loved him still, yet her world was now divided. She was a wife, a lady, and Heathcliff, though refined, carried vengeance like a shadow. He bought Wuthering Heights from the drunken Hindley, turning his old tormentor into a ruined shell. Then, he began to court Isabella Linton, Edgar's sister, not for love, but to wound Catherine. When Catherine learned of it, she broke down. "You kill me, Heathcliff," she cried. "You tear my heart out." "And you've killed me first," he answered. "How could you betray your own soul?" Her spirit began to fade. Fever and heartbreak consumed her until she was confined to bed, her eyes hollow yet burning with love. Heathcliff came to her one last time. "Catherine," he whispered, "do you not see what you have done to me?" She smiled faintly. "I am dying, Heathcliff. I wish I could hold you till we both turn to dust." "May you haunt me," he said fiercely, tears glistening. "Be with me always, drive me mad, but don't leave me in this abyss." She touched his face once more, and was gone. The night Catherine died, a great storm swept the moors. Windows shattered at Wuthering Heights, and Heathcliff was seen wandering the hills, calling her name. "Catherine! Come back!" You said you would never leave me. Years passed, but Heathcliff lived only for revenge and memory. He became the master of both Wuthering Heights and Thrushcross Grange, a man hollowed by passion. Isabella fled from him, bearing his child, while Hindley died broken. Catherine's daughter, Cathy Linton, grew up bright and gentle, unaware of the depth of her mother's tragedy. Heathcliff's own son, Linton Heathcliff, was frail and spoiled. Through cunning and cruelty, Heathcliff brought the young pair together, not for love, but to unite the estates and fulfill his bitter plan. Yet fate played its own hand. Cathy, though forced to marry Linton, found kindness in Catherine Earnshaw, Hindley's rough but good-hearted son. Slowly, the younger generation began to heal what the elders had destroyed. Heathcliff, watching them, felt the edge of his rage dull. One night, he wandered to the window and saw Cathy and Catherine reading by the fire, their faces soft and peaceful. The sight pierced him. "I cannot bear this peace," he murmured. "She is in the air I breathe. Catherine, how can I live when you are in everything?" He stopped eating, stopped sleeping. Servants found him wandering the moors, speaking to someone unseen. His eyes grew distant, almost joyful. One dawn, they found him lying on Catherine's old bed, the window open, rain falling on his face. There was a strange smile on his lips. He had died with her name upon them. He was buried beside Catherine, despite all protests. The villagers whispered that on stormy nights, two shadows could be seen walking together on the hills, hand in hand, wild and free as they once were. Years later, when all the hatred had faded, Cathy and Catherine rebuilt Wuthering Heights. Flowers grew where thorns had ruled, and laughter filled the halls again. One evening, they walked past the graves of Catherine and Heathcliff. "Do you think they are at peace?" she asked softly. "Yes," Catherine said, gazing at the setting sun. "They were never meant for this world, but for the wind and sky." The Moor sighed gently, as if in answer. The two names carved side by side on the gravestones gleamed faintly under the twilight, Catherine Earnshaw and Heathcliff. The storm had passed, but their love, fierce, eternal, untamed, still haunted the heart of Wuthering Heights.